The man who jumped from the sky loaded with cash. A savvy man once commandeered an aircraft, demanded hundreds of millions of dollars, and then leaped out of it with a parachute, never to be seen again. But who was this enigmatic, money-yearning man, and how did he get away with such a crime? In this video, we will dive into the story of a man named D.B. Cooper. Certainly not has it been possible to locate D.B. Cooper. To this day, 5 decades after Cooper hijacked Northwest Orient Flight 305 as it was traveling from Portland to Seattle, armchair investigators, retired law enforcement officers, and Cooper fans are still seeking to learn his genuine identity. Our tale begins on a chilly, stormy afternoon the day before Thanksgiving in 1971 at the Portland International Terminal. On that occasion, an enigmatic man entered the airport and signed for a $20 ticket on Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305 to Seattle, a brief 30-minute flight. He was using Dan Cooper as a pen name. Due to his olive skin and brown hair, he appeared to be in his 40s. He was dressed in a dark reddish-brown suit, skinny black tie, and large horn-rimmed glasses. He also had a bag and a raincoat on him. Mr. Cooper entered the aircraft and sat down. There were 3 flight attendants, the pilot, and a small plane with 5 crew members. 37 other innocent persons were also traveling on board. Dan Cooper asked one of the flight attendants for a drink shortly after departure. He softly handed her a soft-written note, which she read while her face froze in terror. It instructed her to write down a second note and give it to the pilot while her hands shook, warning her that he had a bomb in his backpack. "I need $200,000 by 5 o'clock p.m. in cash," she wrote. "Could you put it in a sleeping bag? Both 2 front and 2 back parachutes are on my want list. If there isn't a fuel truck waiting to refuel when we land, I'll take care of it myself." As soon as she entered the cockpit with the ransom note, the only unsolved hijacking in American history began. The airline president accepted Cooper's $200,000 ransom demand, and the authorities rushed to seize some parachutes. Fortunately, Scott, the pilot at the time, could land the aircraft without incident at Seattle-Tacoma Airport, where the passengers exited. However, Cooper, 4 of the flight's crew members, and the pilot remained on board. The cops eventually arrived at the airport with the money and parachutes. Cooper then ordered the plane to fly toward Mexico City, and during the flight, Cooper made everyone on board report to the cockpit. Cooper instructed the 2 pilots to fly at a speed of no more than 190 miles per hour and an altitude of 10,000 feet. He could still open the plane's stairs without being immediately lifted into the air. No one ever saw the mysterious Dan Cooper after that. At 7:42 p.m., a light flashed in the cockpit, signaling that the stairway had been unlocked, and at 8:12 p.m., the crew felt the plane as Cooper leaped from the steps with the money in his possession. To begin with, finding and identifying Cooper was never going to be simple. It was challenging to locate Cooper's landing location in the 1970s, since airport security was not current, and it was unclear as to when Cooper stepped off the plane. The 5 aircrafts following the stolen airliner did not have their crew jump from the sky in pursuit, and neither did Cooper. The hour was also dark, making it difficult to see him. Cooper, unfortunately, lost the cigarette butts he had left on board, but DNA analysis of them has never been possible. Disappearing into the FU Seattle skies, a significant search occurred almost immediately. Thousands of police officers and military personnel searched the riverbanks and woods, but came up empty-handed. Strangely, the CIA also assisted in the search by deploying a top-secret, cutting-edge spy strategy. The stories have shocked people worldwide and made the first page of the news. One of the initial publications stated the suspect's name incorrectly as DB rather than Dan Cooper, and the false moniker caught on. Then, where did this enigmatic criminal go after jumping from the plane? After a thorough investigation, the FBI concluded that Cooper most likely died during his jump. It's also possible that he could never even open his gun, but they couldn't be sure without any proof. Numerous things were working against Cooper at the time of the act. He carried his backpack while wearing only his suit and dove into the freezing rain in the dense clouds and far below freezing temperatures. A landing would be considerably riskier because the Cascade Mountains below were a barren landscape full of sharp rocks and trees. The first traces of proof didn't surface until 7 years later. Hunters found a plastic instruction card detailing how to lower the stairway on the specific aircraft model. Cooper had given the order. 2 years later, 20 miles southwest of Cooper's alleged drop zone, while camping with his family, an 8-year-old discovered even more significant evidence. The youngster discovered about $6,000 in rotting $20 bills while playing by a river. The FBI has had hundreds of suspicions throughout the years, but they have never been able to track down their man. Richard Floyd McCoy Jr. is a possible suspect who is maybe the most obvious and persuasive. McCoy hijacked the same aircraft 4 months after Dan Cooper committed his crime, receiving a $500,000 ransom before leaping from a single stairway above Utah. Although he might sound familiar, authorities thought he was more likely a copycat criminal than the original offender. Cooper was reportedly in his 50s, while McCoy was only 29. The FBI has investigated more than 1,000 potential suspects over the years, but has not successfully determined who D.B. Cooper is. D.B. Cooper had a cult following as a result of the newsworthy crime. T-shirts bearing the slogan, D.B. Cooper, where are you?, were sold throughout the country, and a store in Washington celebrated D.B. Cooper Day every year. Although many suspects, such as Barbara Dayton, William Gossett, and John List over the years have been proposed, the most exciting possibilities have been highlighted. Dwayne Weber, a veteran of World War II, informed his wife Jo, "I am Dan Cooper," as he lay dying. He then became a suspect in the DB case. Jo recalled after Dwayne shared his secret that her husband made notes in the margin of a book about D.B. Cooper in her husband's handwriting, and that he used to daydream about leaving fingerprints on a jet and had a history of leaping off of planes. In 2000, she stated to CBS News, "I am unable to ignore it. Why would he still possess a dated Northwest Airlines ticket? Why would he take me to a location where the money was finally discovered? Why all of this? There are far too many puzzle pieces that fit together." Agent Ralph Himmelsbach of the FBI, who was in charge of the case 29 years ago, added, "He does match the physical profile. He does have the criminal history I've always believed was connected to the case." However, the FBI disqualified Weber as a suspect because there was no additional concrete evidence against him, and his fingerprints did not coincide with those on the plane or Cooper's tie. Additionally, Himmelsbach stated that he thought Cooper most likely passed away from the wounds he would have received when jumping out of the plane. When Kenneth Christensen, an Army paratrooper and flight attendant for Northwest Orient Airlines, attempted to confess to his brother, Lyle, on his deathbed in 1994, he was added to the suspect list. Christensen allegedly said to his brother, "There is something you should know, but I cannot tell you," according to Lyle. Regarding more proof, Lyle Christensen said in a letter that he saw an Unsolved Mysteries episode on the Cooper case in 2003 and was sure that his brother resembled the character of D.B. Cooper dead on. Despite having a notoriously modest wage, New York Magazine discovered that Kenneth Christensen could buy a house and some land in October 1972, a year after Cooper's jump. He paid $1,500 for the land and $14,000 for the ranch. Kenneth Christensen's images were also recognized by Florence Schaffner, the stewardess who handed Cooper's letter on the flight, who told the media, "The ears are right. They are. Thin lips, indeed. Yes, the upper lip is quite similar to this. Yes, a broad forehead." Schaffner could not confidently identify Cooper, even though Christensen resembled him the most out of all the individuals she had examined. Agent Ralph Himmelsbach of the FBI told New York Magazine that Christensen was too small, not heavy enough, and has got the incorrect color eyes, which led to the FBI's conclusion that Christensen did not meet Cooper's physical description. Robert Rackstraw was a pilot and a former soldier who was made a possible suspect after detectives found similarities between him and Cooper's drawings while looking into him for a different crime in 1978. Thomas Colbert, the author of The Last Master Outlaw, a book making the case that Rackstraw was D.B. Cooper, claims that Rackstraw tried to fake his death by jumping out of a plane over Monterey Bay after being discharged from the military in 1971. Rackstraw had served on a helicopter crew during the Vietnam War. Later, in 1978, he was discovered in Iran and extradited to the U.S. on allegations of having explosives and writing fraudulent checks. He was no longer regarded as a suspect by the FBI in 1979 after no concrete proof of his involvement was discovered. In the 2016 documentary D.B. Cooper, Case Closed, Rackstraw, 73 at the time, denied being Cooper, while his lawyer Dennis Roberts told Mercury News he's not D.B. Cooper. Everything I've heard is that D.B. Cooper died, and he, Rackstraw, is alive. Many assume that because D.B. Cooper has never been located, he may not have survived the jump from the plane. It is incredibly doubtful that Cooper made it to the ground alive, FBI agent Larry Carr wrote in 2007. But for the time being, all we can do is speculate. There's always a chance that additional proof will ultimately be discovered, and, if we're lucky, this cursed case might be finally solved one day. So there you have it. Do you think D.B. Cooper survived the jump or perished along with the money? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video fascinating, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel for more awesome stories. Thanks for watching, and see you soon in the next video.